Everybody. Today on the interview, I got my friend, my brother, Mr. Chad Murray, and today we got a special announcement. He is dropping his new book, The Home Buyer Blueprint. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
First off, my brother, thank you so much for having me, man.
Yes,
I really
sir. Yes,
appreciate
sir.
you having me on. And yes, I'm super excited, brother. I'm super excited because my book, The Home Buyer Blueprint, 7 Steps to Start Building Wealth, is out right now on Amazon. It's been a project a long time in the making. It's been a long time in the making, but I'm really grateful that we're here today and I could say, get out there and go get my book. If you're looking to buy a house within the next year, 2 years, or even sooner, my book has all of the jewels, the gems, and the process laid out for you to be able to make your home buying goals a reality.
And I brought him on here not only because he's like my man's my brother out here, but I read the book. You guys, I read books and do interviews and kind of talk about my favorite books. And immediately this one jumped to the top of my list because I'm interested in real estate. I'm interested in the home buying process and all those kind of different things. And so this book really spoke to me because I was able to identify with it and without going too much in it, because I need y'all to go get it. It really gave a lot of insight to the process, a lot of tips and strategies. And so if you'd like to expound kind of like what they're going to get in the book, if you could do that for the people.
So the book, the reason why I think that it's a must-have, right? The reason why I know this book is something of quality that's really going to improve lives. First and foremost, let me let you know, the reason why I created this book is because I'm very passionate about home ownership being a vehicle and a vessel for transformation in families. I remember growing up, my mother and my father, we had we had a family full of love, right? They had 5 children, and we started out living in Brooklyn. We came to Long Island, New York, and we would go into like rent a house. And after a few years, things would end up falling down, and my mother and my sisters and I would go to live at my granny's house, right? We'd spend a year or so at granny's house. My mother and my father would get it back together. We'd get out there, we rent another house, and in short order, we'd be back at granny's house. Man, we did that probably 3 or 4 years growing up. So imagine that, going from place to place, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And to this day, when I talk to my sisters about it, it never felt like we were in an unstable place. It never felt as if we were living the experience that we were living, right? Because first off, we had the love, right? My mom and pops always had the love. But we had Granny's house, right? Granny's house was a foundation that brought stability to an unstable situation. No matter how hard things got in the streets, no matter how tough the financial situation that my mother and my father might have been dealing with, we had Granny's house. And because of that, my sisters and I have been able to really thrive in different areas of our lives. And we weren't really a victim to the same kind of challenges that a lot of other families face, but aren't able to overcome. That one house, Granny's house, led to, between my sisters and I, multiple homes. We own a good number of houses between us. Families that have been able to thrive and build in stability. I think that having that kind of environment really set the tone for where we are and where we're headed. So because I was blessed with that experience, because I actually have 20 years,
Wow,
20 years of real estate experience at this point in my life as well, I see this as such an important piece that if I could really make this home buying process a lot more digestible so people understand why it's so important, but then understand how to go about the process, I think that we don't just change individuals, but this book is going to help to change communities.
And I totally agree that just from what I read, that premise of once you really understand the reality behind the home buying process, it changes your whole outlook. You might think that you're in the worst situation financially, credit wise, what have you. But if you learn simple strategies and steps to get you to where you need, to buy a house, you might think it's years away, but what you'll find, especially from reading this book, is it's just around the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is something like a myth that you feel that people fall into in the home buying process?
You don't need 20% down. That's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need 20% down. So the reason why the 20% down myth has been going around is because if you put down 20% or more, you get to avoid what's called mortgage insurance, which is great because that could mean an extra $150, $250, $300 on your mortgage payment every single month. And yes, that could absolutely be a burden, but I'm going to tell you something. Somebody that bought a house in 2020 and paid mortgage insurance and put down 3.5% down, because all you have to put down is 3.5% on an FHA loan, right?
Right.
That person in 2020 just probably experienced a $50,000, $70,000, maybe even $100,000 in equity in that short period of time. They didn't have to wait for 20% down, and you don't either. And especially being that how home prices are so expensive now,
right?
20% would mean that you couldn't play ball with less than 60, 70, 80, $100,000, which isn't practical for most Americans, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 3.5% is a lot more digestible, and it could get you in the game, which is the most important thing, is to get in the game.
What was to follow up with that, being that you gave that information so eloquently, what would you say was your most, I guess, exciting part about the book? Or like, what was like the one thing that, like, when you wrote that chapter, you were like, yeah.
You know what piece really gets me excited? At the end of each chapter, I put what's called a blueprint. And they're case studies of past clients, family members who I've worked with. And to actually have interviewed them, to hear their stories of how they overcame the challenges that they faced and what home ownership means to them, man, it was so powerful. I mean, it was so empowering and it was so powerful, right? Because these are people that I interact with or I've interacted with in a business setting or even friends and family, and really getting to see what home ownership has done and how they actually are really like changed, transformed by this process. It actually made me know more that the work that is being done through this book is really needed. One example of that was
I was about to ask you that.
Yeah, one example was my little sister. So my little sister, you know, she is in education and she's been in education for a while, and she went to school to get, like, she's probably a few steps away from her doctorate. And that means what? Student loans.
Student loans.
So student loans
Huge
has been her barrier for years and years and years, because here she is carrying around all of the student loan debt. Now she knows that those student loan debts are going to fade away in a matter of like maybe 7 years, because she's in the student loan forgiveness program for a few years now. And after 10 years, all of your student loan debt gets wiped away. But what do you do before that?
Right.
Now you have over 100,000 in student loan debt that's standing in the way of home ownership. When I worked with her, we were able to actually work through the student loan debt, get her credit score into the 7s, and get her closed on her house.
Wow.
And now when I go back to New York, I've stayed by her house, and to spend time at her house after she, you know, it seems so far-fetched to her, in just a short time, now she has her own house. She has her husband. She has her 2 boys, who every time I go there, just to be able to watch them grow in their own kingdom, right? To see children in their own domain is like, it's just a beautiful thing. So that part was like the best part of it for me. And I mean, every one of the blueprints are really, really dope and really, really impactful to me. And I'm so glad that I was able to help those people in each story get to where they want to be. And I know that they're going to be able to help so many people just by sharing their stories, to let you all know that the process isn't a bed of roses, but man, once they get it, man, those flowers are sweet.
Yeah, and that story really speaks to me, because that I can relate to that with trying to buy a house and having your student loans. That was one of the things that that was a hindrance for me in the home buying process, was that student loan tag on your back, and then you trying to work around it. But me knowing the game a little bit, I was able to, you know, maneuver and get to that house. When I say trust and believe that the information in this book is solid, that it is solid. It's solid. So in closing, can you tell people a little bit more about how they can find the book and how they can find your information?
So the book is called The Home Buyer Blueprint, and you can catch the book. As a matter of fact, if you go to my website, chadthelender.com, you'll be able to get a copy of my book for free when you schedule a consultation to speak with myself or someone on my team. So if you go to chadthelender.com, you can actually get a copy of the book for free. It's also on Amazon if you prefer to pay me, which I'm happy for you to do. Buy a copy for yourself. Buy a copy for a family member or a friend who is in that process of buying a house, right? Go to Amazon.com, look for The Home Buyer Blueprint, look for this face right here, and you'll be able to get a copy of your very own. And I have to tell you, man, I appreciate you saying that the work is solid, and it's really come about by being obedient.
Right.
And maybe I was disobedient for a long time because I've had this on my spirit for a long time, but it's been, you know, God has been pushing me to get into this space of education, because I've been in real estate now for 20 years. Jeez, man, every time I say it, it sounds crazy, but I started when I was 19.
Wow.
And, you know, I didn't start out being a blessing when I got into the game, because I started out chasing money, and I taught people how to chase money. We made a lot of it, but we didn't make the change for people that was always great.
Wow.
And I feel as if it's important that I'm able to actually take the information that I've been able to acquire over these last 20 years and really teach people a process that is so intimidating for some. It's so far-fetched for some. And not to mention, in this market, it's so competitive. So what do you do as a regular person competing against people who are putting down cash to buy a whole house, right?
Right, exactly.
What do? This book is a great place to start, because it's going to help you to hone in on your vision. It's going to help you to hone in on what you have to do to be fully prepared to get into that process, because it's a process of buying a house. It's not just you submitting one offer and it just going your way, but seeing other people who have gone through that process, understanding all of the nuances to that situation is going to really, I mean, I can't wait to hear your stories. When you get the book and you get your success, please let me know what in the book has helped and what you've been able to do so that other people could benefit from that same case study, that same success story that you inevitably will be.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to leave his information and the link below his website, which is chadthelender.com, and the link to his Amazon book. And again, if you guys go to his website, I got to repeat that. He's giving the book from his website for free. So you're without excuse to change your mind, to change life. You know, here on my channel, I'm trying to get y'all to change your mind, to change your life. If you like, you know, Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Compound Effect, all those great books that give you insight and strategies to better yourselves and put things into action for you that's going to change your life. This book, I put this book up there with them. So I'm speaking highly to you on that, man, just from the book side. Like, I have a lot of book reviews, so hear me when I say this. The link is going to be below. I encourage you, either go support on Amazon or go to his website. But if it touched you anyway, if it helped you anyway, and you watch this video, come back to this video and leave a comment showing how this book has changed your life. Trust and believe that if you are wanting to change something about your life, change your approach to things, this will help you to buy a house. There's many things that will help you to achieve whatever goal you have in life. And like I said, if you're looking to get into real estate, if you're looking to know the back end of things when it comes to buying a house, this is the book that you want to have in your hands. Definitely. Thank you for coming on my show.
Thank you,
sir.
So much for having me.
Thank you, man. It's been a blessing. You gave a lot of good information without giving too much of the book. Would you like to close us out with any words or anything?
Man, well, what I would say is be obedient to what's on your spirit. whether it's the home buying process, a job, a relationship. Like God speaks to us, right? God speaks to us. It's just a matter of if we're listening or not. Listening could cut years off of the journey in your life, while trying to figure it out your own way could add years of struggle to your journey. Be obedient, be open and willing to do what it takes to get to your transformation, and keep that spirit of faith and the spirit of whatever it takes, right? Once you know what's on your heart that needs to be done to get to your through your journey, by any means necessary, just keep on taking those steps until you get there. So I just pray that you're able to find success in all areas of your life, this generation, and for many to come.
Thank you. Thank you guys for listening in today. And as always, be encouraged, be blessed, be inspired. Catch you on my next video.